unexpected Sunday mail from Fire Poppies. Well, I mean, I was expecting the delivery, just not today. So I got, ooh, that's a really, really pretty gray color. Okay, so we have here this beautiful dark gray. It's not quite as like greenish as it's showing on camera. It's just a beautiful slate gray. And I don't have any plans for this. I just thought it was pretty and wanted it. And then this is more London Fog. This is the fabric I decided to kit plaid tidings with, and there isn't enough fabric in what I had to do all three of them, so I got another one just so that I would know for sure that they would all match. And then also for plaid tidings, I didn't show the dark gray fabric was Dusk by Steel City Stitchers, and I have never tried their fabric before, so looking forward to that. And then I got I got a skein of mistletoe. This is called for in plaid tidings as well. I'm gonna do the DMC conversion because in the plaid, I don't think you're really gonna be able to see the variegation very well in the houses and stuff, but the trees have, I think, some nice soft variegation. You can see that there's good variegation in this, and so I thought that this would be a good compromise to do. The trees with the overdyed and everything else in the DMC. Hello everybody, it is super late in the day for when I usually do this. It's dinner time now, but I have had quite the busy day. I'm opening my candle for day 6. It's got a nice little ornament on the front, and it is a very pretty light orange yellow color. That's a very sweet scent. That's like that might be like a pumpkin, but like a sweet pumpkin, like pumpkin pie maybe. Let's see. I'm not so bad at this game. Pumpkin pie, I was right. So as I said, I don't really know how I feel about sweet scents. I haven't tried the vanilla one from yesterday, but I generally like the smell of this. I just don't know how I'll feel about it while it's burning. Yeah, I mean, it smells nice. It smells good. Makes me kind of want to eat it. Okay, now I have my tea, and I heard from my friends that this is a low caffeine tea today, so maybe I still have time to drink it. Ooh, yes, I'm excited about this one. This is white pear. So this is a white tea. It's got apple pieces and natural pear flavor. So a much more like toned down tea. A lot of times these have like a lot of ingredients in them, and this one only has 3. So much simpler, and I'm excited because it's a white tea. It definitely shows the different brew temperature and time. There was another white tea I saw recently that does not account for that, so I'm glad that they do. Okay, last but not least, I have my Black Needle Society Day 6 gift. I like this ribbon. Can I save this ribbon? Oh, I can. Yes. What is this? Well, it's this, but I don't quite know what this is yet. Oh, I think this is a pillow cover. I've seen a couple of their other boxes have pillow covers. Keep warm and drink cocoa. Oh, how cute is that? I'm definitely gonna have to get a pillow insert for this because it's super cute. Let me see. Let me scratch off the info and see if there's anything else I can tell you about it. So this says it's from the Black Needle Society, so I assume that Katie designed it. And it says, cuddle up with your stitching and this cozy seasonal throw pillow cover. So yeah, I'm really excited about that. I have not a ton of winter decor, so I'm looking forward to being able to use that. So thank you. All right, that's all I got. And I've got food coming really soon. We're getting tacos. And then I am gonna try and force myself to do a little bit more FFO work tonight. I have a couple of questions for my mom. Hopefully she'll be able to straighten me out a little bit, and then I can make at least a tiny bit of progress. Tiny progress at a bunch of different times hopefully will get me to the finish line on this one. I can't remember if I showed you yesterday, but this is my next project to cut and pin, and I bought this like pre-quilted fabric. I thought it would be an interesting thing to put on the back of this, but I'm a little bit nervous about using it. I don't know if the extra bulk will make it difficult to turn out when I have to turn it inside out. I have a very, very similar just plain cotton pink backing fabric that I could use instead if this doesn't work. And what I would really like to do is just be super impatient and just like go for it, or just give up before I've even tried and just do this. But I think what I should do is do a sample pillow with this fabric and just a scrap for the front to see how it goes, and then I can plan accordingly. So I'm gonna be an adult about it and actually try it out before I make a decision. So I have this ornament that I prepared yesterday. So I think instead of cutting and preparing this one for sewing and then sewing these both in the same day, which is really what I wanted to do, I'm going to sew this one, and then I'm going to sew a test pillow with this and just a piece of cotton for the front and try it out, and then I'll move forward with the actual stitched piece. Now, thanks to my mom and a friend of mine who is much more experienced than I am at sewing, I was asking them about the fusible interfacing that I have, because the directions say to cut out the interfacing and cut out the fabric the same size and then fuse the interfacing to the fabric. Well, that was part of what was causing me so much frustration last night. Just like getting them to line up and be the same size and is very frustrating and time consuming. So what I want to do, and I was confirming with them that this would work, and I think that it will, is that I want to fuse the interfacing onto the fabric first and then just cut the whole thing once and be done. They seem to think that it'll go okay, so when I do the test for this, I'm also going to try that. I'm not going to put interfacing on this because it's already pretty thick, but I will put it on this or whatever scrap I use for the front, just to try that and see how it goes. So it'll be 2 tests in 1. Wish me luck! Okay, so I finished stitching up the seams of this pillow, and you can see, like, I'm not a skilled seamstress here. I'm just doing my best, you know? So I have a hole. I'm a little worried it's kind of small, but I have a hole here to turn out the pillow. It's not a part that I find fun. Not that I find any of this fun, but I'm gonna turn that out and see how it looks. I wanted to note I learned from Vana, from Vana's tutorial on this. You can find her on YouTube at The Twisted Stitcher. And I learned from her, rather than in the machine leaving the needle in and then twisting my fabric to do a corner, I just stitch all the way up to the edge and then cut it and then turn and start over. And that has been pretty easy to do for corners, so that's what I do. I totally forgot that I usually press the seams open before I turn it out, so I'm gonna sew the other pillow and then I'll turn this out later. I am covered in little threads here. So I stitch the quilted fabric into a pillow. Now I sort of cut some corners, so to speak, here by not cutting corners. So I didn't iron out the seams. I didn't snip the edges to help me get crisp corners. I also went kind of quickly, so I may not have the straightest edges. I did feel like the fabric was harder to keep from slipping than I usually find. But I didn't use as many pins as I usually do, so maybe that was part of it. But I do think it was more challenging to stitch with. But honestly, a pillow is really forgiving because you're going to stuff it. So if the lines aren't perfectly straight, it's like not the biggest deal. And I definitely think I can get my corners crisper by snipping the edges and that sort of thing. The other thing I think is going to be harder is closing the bottom because of the batting. I'm honestly not going to test that part because I'm lazy. I also forgot to try the interfacing technique that I was talking about, where I put it on first and then cut. So that part I'm gonna just do it live. But I mean, okay. This thing took me only like 2 hours to stitch. It's a gift for my best friend, so like they'll understand if it's not perfect, and they'll totally appreciate that I was like practicing new techniques and trying something new. So I think I'm gonna go ahead with the quilted back, as scared as that makes me. And yeah, so I'm gonna call this test done and get rid of this piece. And now I'll just save this pink backing fabric for something else. So here is what it's gonna look like. We've got the pink quilted backing fabric, then we've got this is the stitched piece, and then once I stitch it all together, I'm gonna put on this trim. Oh, I also forgot, I'm gonna stitch in a white ribbon so that they can hang it up, either on their Christmas tree or, you know, just on a thumbtack or on the wall or whatever they want. So that's the plan. And since I have to get my ironing board out to do this for real, I'm also going to iron the seams of this and clip the corners, so that I can turn this out and see how I did. So I've pressed open my seams so that it will lay a little bit nicer. I'm really disappointed that my ribbon looks like that. I meant it for it to be more on top of each other, but we'll see how it looks when I open it up. So now it's time to turn it out. And I, on Vana's recommendation, use a chopstick to press out the corners. Someone tell me, is this what the interfacing is supposed to look like when it's totally pressed on? Like, it's attached on there, but I thought the bubbles were supposed to go away. They look like they're still there. I don't know. Did I do it right? Someone help me. Okay, here's what it looks like turned out. Obviously, this is a little pooched because I haven't sewed it closed yet. Obviously, my lines could be straighter, and my corners could be sharper always, but I think I'm pretty happy with this. And I measured it, and for some reason my eye is telling me that this is not centered horizontally, but I measured it and it is. So I don't know what that's about. I'm actually not mad at the way that the ribbon turned out. I think it is actually pretty okay. And here's the back. So as you can see, like, some of my stitches are showing through on the corners. I don't know, guys, I'm not an expert at this, but I'm trying my best, and I think those are really nitpicky details that my friend may not notice, and even if she notices, definitely won't be upset about. She's gonna love it, and so I'm gonna stuff this and stitch the bottom of it tomorrow. I'm going to now move on to ironing and interfacing my other piece. I feel like until I've done this about 50 times, I'm still gonna have to check the directions for which way the interfacing goes. Same for like loading bobbins and all sorts of things. Like, I just don't do this enough to remember, and I always have to check the directions. So if that's you, shout it out in the comments and make me feel better. Okay, so here are the results of doing the interfacing first. I think it's like all fused on the edges. It didn't come up on the edges at all, I don't think. Yeah, and I think it worked. And I only had to measure this from the top, and this was just done. So I really appreciated that. I'm not using interfacing on this, so all I have to do is cut this the same size as this, and then I'm gonna pin, and then I'm gonna go to bed because it's 10:45 and I do have to work tomorrow, which I'm not looking forward to, but gonna have to be done. Okay, we have another pinned piece. Oof. This piece is stressing me out. I had a ton of struggle with the ribbon this time around, but it is for sure bedtime. I will stitch this tomorrow when I am more awake and able to think straight. Let's see. I didn't stitch at all today, which is kind of a bummer, but I did other fun things instead and made progress on this, so I mean, it's not a loss, but bummer. Always a bummer day when I don't get any stitching in. Tomorrow is back to a 12 days of stitching start. I have no clue what I'm going to start next. It'll be whatever strikes my fancy. But for now, I am off to bed. Good night, everybody.